You know what's funny? I sometimes find that being a musician in rhythm games makes them harder, depending on the game.
Yeah, especially if you want to play on top of the beat or behind it a little bit. Like
if you're playing like Guitar Hero on like normal mode or like medium, it's fucking impossible. If you get to like hard, it starts to feel like a little bit closer to, like the rhythms and the strums and stuff. But like if you're playing on easy, there's like so many like parts of the rhythm and melody that are missing.
Yes.
Like this is like impossible to play.
Too. Yes.
Yeah. It's weird.
It is. It's off-putting.
Yeah. You're just like,
it takes more concentration.
Exactly. Really. You're like, I have to like think.
What are the notes that they are
song.
going to put in there? And are they going to put them on the beat? Are they going to put them on the, like, when they would come in on like the transitioning from one note to the next? Like,
yeah. Are they dumbing it down to like, just put it on like the downbeat every time and like, make it simple.
That's why drums are more direct translation that way.
Yeah.
I feel. They really are for sure. Still like a little bit awkward. Especially because I always found that the Rock Band pads in particular, I never got them to register that great. I never owned them, so I only ever played them at other people's houses, but I felt like the Guitar Hero drums worked better. I never owned those.
The
either,
World Tour drums. I have all the Rock Band stuff, I think.
Nice.
It's only a matter of time till that like cycles back around again.
That's what I was thinking too.
Peripheral hell, because that was just like everything it had a peripheral. I was listening to Idle Thumbs, and apparently this was like a real thing that Nintendo filed a patent for. It was called like the horse bag for the Wii, and it was literally going to be like this inflatable like beanbag chair that you would like sit on and then either plug like the Wii remote or the nunchuck into it so that you could like as Link like be like galloping on the horse, and like it sounded like fucking insane.
Yep.
But it was like a thing that they actually like, spent money on developing at the very least,
not everything can be the Labo. Like you gotta have some duds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with John Hines.
Hey there.
And Randall Nolery.
Hey folks.
And we are back as always to talk about some video games. John's a little bit under the weather here, so we'll try to make it short and sweet here, but thanks for hacking one out with us tonight. I feel like I say this like practically every time we sit down to record, but I feel like this is the first time we've all sat down together, all three of us, in a little while.
Oh
here.
yeah, it's been a minute.
We've all been pretty busy lately, but I've been doing a ton of gaming lately, kind of bouncing all over the map, but John, I know you were planning on taking the lead here. I think you're playing the newest game out of any of us. So why don't you lead things off and get that strain on your voice out of the way.
Sure. So I've been playing the early access game Glyphica Typing Survival, which is a roguelike arcade typing asteroids bullet hell kind of game. Okay. Where it's more of almost a tower defense as well, based on how the power-ups work. But you are a character in the middle of a screen as, at the very beginning, waves of enemies come with words above them, and you have to type in the word for your character to shoot them. And so the only limit on your DPS, so to speak, is your words per minute.
Hell yeah.
So, like, the faster you can type... Like, this was really starting to push me once I was getting to, like, higher waves and significantly harder words, where I was like, I really got to be doing this without looking at like my hands at all. Like I need to be like looking at the screen, seeing which enemies are vulnerable at what time, because some of them put shields up, some of them like will come in and like be a lot faster and do a lot more damage. So it's all of like the typical stuff that you would see from like either what was the game? Genome Guardian was another like tower defense game like this, where there was a center but like it was cooldowns, like so the more weapons you had like would be firing at specific rates, or could only fire at specific rates, whereas this one, the only thing holding you back is just typing faster. And
Yeah.
Each wave or like special enemy will get you upgrades that, some of them for the weapons, like you will get more weapons over the course of a run and you're upgrading those. And the way that they like interplay into each other with like splash damage or piercing damage or like calling in an airstrike of meteors. Like it's got a lot of meat on the bones for there. And it's like, I think every update has just been, it's like, oh, we've added another language or another keyboard into this. So like, I know that they've added Korean. They have like a roadmap of the other stuff that they're going to add. But it's just cool to see like, this is a very like niche genre of like typing games, and like Alias Black is the name of the developer, by the way, and like
and typing action games for that matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. God,
yeah, not just for learning how to type, but like how to type, sicko. You got your fingers on the home row. You're fucking going, man. Like this is my kind of sicko shit for sure.
And it's super fun, like really endlessly replayable and like different modes. I haven't unlocked half the modes. I haven't unlocked half of the guns like that you can start off, but like it's got a lot of content there for you to like, yeah, I might be typing zoos a lot in like the first couple levels, but I've seen like, oh God, yeah, I think the longest word I've gotten to has been like 8 or 9 letters. Okay, and boy, those are a lot more stressful when you've got like a wave of little guys coming in and then like a big heavy hitter one that has like multiple nodes. Like the bullet hell part itself is also really good. Like the designs and all the things, and it's a very minimalist like everything.
Yeah, I was looking at the images. I wonder if they're planning on like updating any of the visuals or anything, as like as considering it's in early access. I know sometimes that's
not, like, because like I like how the minimalist like thing gives you enough like information on, oh, this is what this enemy type is, but it doesn't
it's a slick looking game just glancing at the screenshots.
You need clarity on those letters and words too, just to go hella fast, and not dissimilar from Typing of the Dead, where there'd be like little bats in the first level and they might be like 1 or 2 characters versus like the bigger boss or whatever is like a whole word, right? I love that stuff.
Oh, God. My favorite boss in the game that I've encountered so far, which is just the second boss of the game, but it has an area of effect, like radius around it, that it scrambles all of the letters of the words that are like in that zone. So any word that is coming in that then passes through that zone gets scrambled. So if you're in the middle of typing it, it will like change to a different like series of nonsense letters.
And you still have to type it in that order?
Yeah. Oh, typing weird. Nonsense letters is so rough when you're in like full like word mode, because you're like, fuck, I don't remember what letter I messed up on. Like it's one thing when I'm typing
and there's so
quest.
Many patterns, like, words just have, like when you're typing, like there's so many just patterns, like, with every word. Oh, here's this ing thing. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so many things that you're just used to typing in autopilot mode.
Yeah.
So
anytime
you
have to do a huge reach, like it feels like, oh, I haven't hit that letter in a long time.
I haven't had to use my pinky. I know. It's kind of like playing guitar, doing a little big stretch for like a chord or something.
Does it make you like if you do fumble in the middle of a word or that like
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering if it just did like the key flies off and then you get to pick up where you left off.
And then if you get a higher crit chance if you have like a series of flawless entries. So the higher, and like it has to be a good ongoing combo, because if you like wait too long, then that like combo meter falls. It's good. It's a really well designed game. Oh.
So there's no aiming at all. Like your only aiming is the typing. So is there ever a situation where there's like 2 words that or 2 enemies or whatever that are starting with the same letter? Like, how does it know what enemy you're targeting?
It will type it out, and then the second that, like, it's like it's
when you type the next letter. Okay,
and then it'll like reset the one of them, like wherever it deviates back to 0, but it'll keep going on.
That's
the other
cool.
one.
That's really well designed.
Yeah, that's real slick.
Yeah,
I love the controller of just a keyboard too, just a computer keyboard as a game controller for
and
this,
the way that
direct
like
input.
They have it really. You pick your upgrade by typing a word underneath the upgrade, so you don't have to like be scrolling scrolling through a thing. Like, you never have
awesome.
to
Stay
lift
with the
your
theme.
fingers up from
like
the
go
keyboard.
grab your mouse or whatever.
It's
yeah.
great.
That's awesome.
It doesn't break the flow of the. Oh yeah.
Enter
Super good game.
spacebar to do next
Yep.
level or confirm sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very, very slick. I really like that a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds pretty addictive. What kind of keyboard are you using? Like, are you tempted at all to like upgrade your key? And obviously not just for this game, but like, is there any part of you that's like, I wish I had a better keyboard to like, to play with this game on or something like that?
I am playing on a 2013 like gaming computing laptop. I'm not.
Yeah. Because I know the part of the reason I asked that is like because every now and then I'll play a game like on my laptop, and like a lot of times I'll hook up my laptop to the TV and I'll have I have a wireless keyboard, wireless mouse, and everything, and like that setup will be like a little bit more convenient. It's just a bigger keyboard where like my laptop has these kind of tiny keys. The arrow keys are like those really small. Because my laptop has a numpad on it, so like the keys are like extra small. Mm-hmm. So which I get. You got to have that numpad.
Oh yeah,
even though my
Never
7 and 9 key don't work all the time.
Got to.
But like, yeah, there's just part of me that was like, they're picturing trying this game out. I'm like, I would probably have to break out that wireless keyboard just to have like a little bit better, tactile feel
get the
to
sprawl.
it.
Yeah. That's tough. That is honestly harder to play on a laptop keyboard.
Yeah. But the cool thing about this game is it actually feels like it would help you get better at typing.
Yes.
Like force you to like
100%.
commit to like you said, like I'm not looking at the screen. Like I kind of type. I do the whole home row thing kind of, but I really only use my index and middle finger on both hands and like occasionally my thumbs and like just kind of dance around. And
So I'm
it
like
works for me and I'm
working
fast,
out
but like it's
some
not
old muscle memory that
Yeah,
hasn't been
yeah.
used in decades. And I was like, ooh, I did know how to do this at one point.
Yeah, that actually seems kind of cool. And
then you
for
swap
that matter,
out a
like
Y
getting-
for a U, and you're like, I'm an idiot.
But for that matter too, like getting better at typing on your actual laptop keyboard, which I don't know if you use it for anything like, writing or anything like that ever, but that just seems like a cool extra bonus for like, getting better at this game. Helping you get better at typing. But
2 fingers on each side,
Yeah.
huh? I'm a classically trained typist over here. Got 4 fingers down, baby, both sides.
We
Got
can't
the thumbs
all
resting
be
on the space
Renaissance
bars.
men, Randall.
I wish I could. But yeah, everyone at work is always like, man, you're hammering on those keys. I was like, I don't know. It's just the way I type.
Feels good, man.
Yeah. But man, got me kind of wanting to go hunt down. Now that I've been going to all these retro shops lately, I'm kind of wanting to hunt down a copy of Typing of the Dead.
Get that Dreamcast keyboard. I've got the Japanese variant and the North American big ass IBM keyboard.
Yeah,
for that, just for that purpose,
amazing.
just for Typing of the Dead.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, Randall, I know you've been dipping into a series that I guess everybody here kind of likes, but I feel like John is kind of probably the most.
yeah.
Whenever I think of this series, I always think of John in particular.
John definitely is the de facto expert of our
Sicko
group.
of
Yeah.
Castlevania.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Playing some Aria of Sorrow on the Castlevania double pack for Game Boy Advance, which,
Nice.
like I said before we started, grabbed from Best Buy during Kevin and I's Best Buy days a million years ago. And like I said, booted up and had a game save that said Randy on it from 2007 or some shit. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That's
Jeez.
interesting.
Did you
That's like-
continue or did you start over?
No, I started over. And I honestly have like way outpaced that save, to be honest with you.
Nice.
Like that save had maybe an hour on it, and now I'm 7 hours in on Aria of
Nice.
Sorrow. I burned hard on this game, especially I had to go for a work conference to Vegas. I'm not a Vegas person. I spent a lot of time that I wasn't in classes or schmoozing in my hotel room playing this game on my analog pocket, and that was and
Nice.
might put basketball on when it was on, and that was enough for me. That's all I
yeah.
needed, really.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and Aria of Sorrow, to me, I've not certainly have not played all the Castlevania games. I've dabbled in most of them. I own most of them, but naturally, haven't played a lot of the DS ones. Played a decent amount of Circle of the Moon. Not much of the other ones besides Symphony of the Night. I like beat, but not spoilers.
Didn't beat
but
like the second version or whatever.
Yeah. But this is, to me, experience wise, is the closest thing to Symphony of the Night's experience in this form, and it's
okay.
Oh yeah,
I think it's tremendous. I think this is a phenomenal game. It's amazing what. I think it's Iga, right? Iga.
Yep.
This is one of his Castlevanias. Under Konami, of course. At this point, it is a Castlevania, but it just a brilliantly designed game, and there's no. I don't know, like there's not really like limitations for it being on Game Boy Advance. Like even some of the games on Game Boy Advance, you can feel the constraint with the vertical real estate, I guess. I don't ever feel that in this game. It's so well designed, and certainly the sprite's a little bit smaller to accommodate that, but you never feel that. It's just like
it is that widescreen layout of like level design. Yeah. Like it is a lot of corridors, which I think like has always been like a strength of Castlevania. Where it's like hallways is like the thing, and then like Clock Tower was always the the challenge mode where you're having to deal with more of a vertical level, and it's the
jumping on the gears.
Yeah, they just kind of take out enemies and just be like, all right, this is the precision platforming section, get to it. And like,
but it feels tremendous. It feels so good. They just nailed the control, and it's got the beautiful, Game Boy Advance style 32-bit visual appeal.
Enormous.
It's got to look amazing on that analog pocket too.
It does. It's so crisp.
Just brightening up all those colors and everything, because those games just look great when you really get to see them in their full, true glory, I guess.
Super vibrant, and I think I want to say this is shooting from the hip, but this like was more, at least it wasn't original Game Boy Advance era where there wasn't the backlit. I think this was closer to like Game Boy Advance SP sort of backlight era. Like they could do a little bit more. They didn't have to like artificially brighten or whatever the graphics.
Right. Although the game is just like, I mean, also just in comparison to Circle of the Moon, which was made before they realized, maybe we shouldn't be making this the darkest game ever made. Like, Aria of Sorrow is a bright game. Like it's so colorful, so vibrant. Like it's using every. And
this was
color.
It is.
This was the last of the 3 GBA games, right?
Yes.
Hey, thank you.
Second?
Harmony of Dissonance was in between the two.
Okay, I thought so, but I wasn't 100% sure. But that makes sense if they're like getting the most out of the platform at that.
And that's what it feels like. It feels like a late era console release. Like they're making they've put a couple iterations out. This is like, all right, we got the platform figured out. We're going to make another one of these. We've learned from whatever mistakes or ideas that we wanted to implement but didn't have time, and we made this freaking masterpiece of a portable Castlevania game that really, like I said, doesn't even have to be a portable game. It's just the format of it.
And for as complicated of a game it is, like how seamless like the menu systems are, because like that's my biggest complaint with Harmony of Dissonance, is that like it is more complicated and more involved, arguably, than Circle of the Moon, but like the menus are just abysmal to navigate. Whereas like Aria of Sorrow is just like so immediate and and intuitive. Like you know exactly what everything is, which is wild because you're dealing with like hundreds of souls and abilities that you are swapping out constantly for situations, and it never feels difficult to do that, which is impressive.
Yeah, let alone the submenus, or the usual submenus around, in these sort of whatever what are they, Metroidvania type of experiences, whatever. That's not a great descriptor, but it is what it is. Like where you have equipment too, so there's a separate equipment, that you can switch out for different stats for, defense, attack, luck. I always max out luck because that gives you the better drops and stuff. I'm always I want to be a glass cannon with a lot of luck. That's how I play these sort of games. That's always how I do it.
That is why Circle of the Moon is the best handheld Castlevania because every challenge mode is just as like, all right, what if you had only one stat for the entire game? And like you had thief mode, which you had all like maxed out luck. So it was like guaranteed item drops from
that
everything.
is fun.
It was so good. I was like, oh, actually, this rules.
That is pretty amazing.
I can't attack for shit, but I can, when I do finally defeat an enemy,
when I kill you,
chipping away all of your loot is mine.
Yes, immediate drop. Thank you very much. No, that's I might need to go back to Circle too. I'll say too, like bringing up the soul system, that's not even something I got into, but that's kind of the big conceit of this particular Castlevania game is as you defeat enemies or creatures, they all have souls. They have an ability that you can then like inhabit said ability as another equip. And, let's see, what are some ones that like, some of them are just like throwing a lance or something far, or like it might be something that you throw at the ground, or like there's all kinds of different abilities that have all kinds of different type of gameplay elements. Once I've got a few that I like, I kind of stick with those besides trying the other ones out once. Is kind of how it ended up playing out. And I've seen people online complain about like, you have to like grind to get the certain souls. I didn't really have that experience, and I don't really even mind grinding in this game because it's so immediate to reload a room, as it were, that you're playing in, and the enemies are back there again. And as you grind and get more powerful, you're hitting these enemies, and on a few hits tops, you're not likely to take damage. It's not that deep, and it feels good. You feel more empowered. It's a really good gameplay loop all around, I think.
I definitely did that. I was like so often being like, all right, beat this enemy, leave the room, enter the room, beat this enemy, leave the room. Like,
am I feeling any like pushback of like this potential boss that's gatekeeping me from moving forward? Okay, let me go back a couple of rooms where there's some of these enemies that I'll just grind on for, not even that long, gain a level or two, and probably get some item drops along the way, and then move on with my life. And there's a story thing going on. I don't care that much about it, but it's there. So and it's just.
It was inscrutable the first time around. Yeah. It's like, here's a scene. We are not going to tell you another bit of information for the next 10 hours of gameplay. Now here's another scene, and then repeat. Like,
the stories in those games are wild. I only ever beat, I forget which one on the DS, but I think it was probably the first one, because knowing me, I probably tried to play them in order. And I definitely got not the good ending. And I'm sure I probably talked about this on the
Dawn
podcast
of Sorrow is a weird one.
I beat the game, and then like the boss just like leaves, and then they're just like, should we go after her? And they're just like, nah, let's just let her get away. And I was like, what the hell? The game just ended. I was like, what? That probably wasn't exactly it, but I was just like, the credits rolled, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And you could, I don't know if you could pick up like your save from like an earlier point or something, but I was just like left with such a weird taste in my mouth like, that I never
we're done here.
Went back to it, or at least don't remember what happened when I did, if I did.
That's great.
Yeah, you got me kind of wanting to. Yeah, after going through my collection here, I'm like, I kind of want to fire up those three. I have all three of the DS versions, which play in a very similar style. So I'm kind of curious to revisit some of those.
The Portrait of Ruin, I think, has a lot more of like, I don't know, the joy that I had of like swapping souls in whatever its mechanic is, and then Order of Ecclesia has more of like the actual mechanics of like the souls, in that like you're defeating them from enemies and you're getting them, like, whereas it's for Portrait of Ruin, you're more, I think, buying them from a store, and then you have like access to sub-weapons and magic and abilities that you can then level up by using them. Whereas I think with Order of Ecclesia, it's the same farming of like a specific enemy so that you could absorb its glyph. And then you get to use the more you use it, the more you can level it up and get better at it.
Oh, that's sicko stuff there. I'd be into that.
Oh, they're great.
I don't know. It's like buying it from a store just doesn't seem like as much fun to me, even though I'm sure that was a direct reaction to people complaining about grinding. But like, it kind of cuts both ways, I think, that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
It's good, though. Aria of Sorrow. Breaking news. It's a good video game. Check it out.
Well, that's actually That's actually a perfect transition into the game that I'm going to talk about. I know I've been kind of talking about my Wii U as of late, and I just recently went back to some of the retro shops, or just game shops in general. It's not like they only have retro stuff.
Hell yeah.
But went back to one of the shops that Randall and I went to when he was in town. I guess it's probably been about a year, if not more, at this point since that. But yeah, ended up looking through, and then one of the glass like cages, I was looking through, and it happened to like catch my eye, like a couple extra games, and I was like, oh, there are like some games that aren't like crazy, I just like always assume like, oh, these are all like, they got like all the huge collector's editions of like those like limited run style games of like newer stuff. Yeah. But then they also just have like a lot of like retro stuff that's like imports or just stuff where I just assume everything in this case is like $100 or more. Or like,
I found in there for a few $100.
Exactly. For like $375 or something. It's like, okay. But anyways, I just was like peeking. For whatever reason, I think it was actually the copy of Game & Wario that they had in there that caught my eye, because I was like, that's $140. I think it was still sealed, but still, I was like, I didn't know that game was rare. It's obviously not that great. At least I shouldn't say obviously, but I wasn't a huge fan of that one. I only have the digital version, which we were talking about before we recorded here. Got that via Club Nintendo. And I just remember checking it out like one time real quick and going, yeah, I'm glad I never bought this. That was kind of the reaction I had when I fired it up.
Digitally, that Punch Out, what was it, that like Doc's Punch Out like mini game thing was always the one that like I liked a lot more from the Club.
I totally forgot about that. I never got that one actually.
Oh yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
About with him as like a special like bonus thing, but
yeah, there was that other game they made too with like that like grab claw hand that was like a special thing. I never got that one either.
Grill off with something.
Yeah. I forgot it was like a grill game. Yeah, that was on the spot, off the cuff.
Why do I know that?
But anyways, scrolling through that glass cabinet at this game store here, I happen to see I've been hunting down a copy of Paper Mario Color Splash, and actually a really great price on it. It was only $50.
Yeah.
Which is I guess what it cost, when it came out. But nowadays I've definitely seen that game at the store or even online for like 80 plus in the past.
Paper Mario.
And I know, John, you said you even saw it for a pretty steep price recently as well. But yeah, I know I just talked about Star Fox Zero and Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. I think it was last proper episode, not 100% sure. But yeah, scooped up Paper Mario Color Splash, and I've played about 4 or 5 hours now so far, which is further than I thought I would have gotten into it. And I think last time I talked about Paper Mario, I talked about Sticker Star on the 3DS. And I enjoyed the little bit of that I played to a degree, but it also didn't suck me in to the point where after I talked about it on the podcast, I don't think I picked it up again after that, other than maybe one more time to be, I'm gonna move on to the next thing. But so far, Paper Mario Color Splash, I'm pretty sucked in. It has a little bit of a slow, getting moving, which I feel like any Nintendo RPG is bound to have, whether it's Zelda, whether it's, one of these Mario RPGs or whatever, Mario and Luigi, just any of those games, take a little bit, a little exposition in the beginning, just takes maybe a little bit to get going, more than I'm typically used to. I like to just get right into the action. But that said, it really starts off with almost a little bit of an homage to Thousand Year Door, or at least it felt like that to me. You kind of land in this port on your ship, and it just the very opening sequence just really felt reminiscent of that to me. It really felt like they were trying to call back to that. Having not played that game in a long time, but that was just immediately came to mind. But I will say, I was a little bit annoyed too with some of the forced touchscreen stuff. But once I figured out, okay, you can go into the settings and dive 4 menus deep to get to the settings menu, and then you could turn on the buttons and touch control setting, which lets you use some of the controls, but it doesn't tell you what any of the buttons do. It's weird. Maybe if I dive deeper into that menu option with the digital manual on those Wii U games, maybe I can actually see what the buttons do. But I've had to find out okay, instead of flicking the card up off the, because it plays very similarly to Sticker Star. You have to select your cards, and then pick them and then fill them up with paint and then flick them off the screen at the towards the TV to do the attack. So it's a little bit annoying, but then once I figured out, okay, add the buttons, and then, but it doesn't tell you to do this. I had to just figure out, okay, I must have to hit up on the D-pad to flick the card towards the screen, and hit X to give me the extra information, and hit Y to sort my cards, and there's definitely like a ton of annoying things about this game. Like even when I did a stream earlier today for like not my first session with it, but my second session. And I felt kind of bad because I just kept like griping and I was like, but I do really like this game. Like I'm having fun. But like even like just little things like there's all these like the main conceit of the game is like all the colors like getting sucked out of the world and out of different characters and whatever. And you eventually get this hammer that you can smash on things and it splashes paint all over things. And every level, that's one of the things that I love about this game is that it's not just one giant interconnected world. It's like actually just like a world map that you go around all these different nodes. And then each node is like a little level that has like some interconnectedness and some puzzles to solve and whatever, like a traditional, chunk of a Paper Mario game, at least of like Thousand Year Door or the original Paper Mario. But then at the same time, they're like just giving you just a level to explore, and they're giving you like an actual percentage of like, oh, hey, there's 2 stars on this level, and hey, there's, again, you're like kind of cut myself off mid-thought there, but you're smashing this hammer and covering up, there's like a couple spots that'll be, or more than a ton of spots scattered throughout the level that are missing paint, and you can smash your hammer. But that gets like kind of annoying. You're like, this spot looks like it's totally covered in paint, but then I have to like, get that one last little, crevice or whatever. So it's like, there's definitely some annoyances with this game, or even just like I'm trying to get back to like I triggered the thing that I need to trigger and I need to go back to this other area, but I need to like slowly wait for like this elevator platform to move up and then wait for this one to move down and then this one to move up. It's just like kind of a like slower paced, but at the same time, I like that the game is like forcing me to play it at that pace because I'm like not just ripping through it like I do with every other game that I play. And it's not like forcing me to like, go into this town and there's a million people to talk to that you don't have to talk to, but like you might have to trigger this one event, like in Minish Cap, you had to like specifically always like talk to somebody to like make something happen before you could go to the next section, where like this game just seems like it's like whatever you do. And it's like kind of open-ended. Like it's not just like taking me to the next stage every time, like to 1-1 to 1-2. It's like, oh, you found the blue star on this stage? Okay, we're going to open up this path. Or you found the red star? We're going to open up this path. Mm-hmm. Like it's starting to get more and more open-ended. Because I thought I did something wrong and I like looked up a YouTube video just to like see if I missed something. And then I was like, oh wait, they're going like a totally different way than I went in the order of like the levels. And I thought at least in the early going, especially, it would be relatively, scripted and straightforward. But it's got that great like sense of humor and like I've chuckled and laughed out loud a handful of times already. There's just some really great, and yeah, some of it falls flat, like any game that's trying to do humor does. But yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun. It gets a little bit one of the things I looked up too is that you can't actually like select what enemy you want to target. You only can like select the order of the cards you want to use.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Which is a little bit because it like there's a couple times like the way the menu looks at times, like it's showing like the list of enemies and it's like showing them targeted. So it almost like makes you feel like you should be able to select, but you really have to just be cognizant. Like I just unlocked the ability to now use 2 cards at a time. So now I have to be like, okay, I want to make sure I jump so that when I jump, I'll land on the Koopa. Then the Koopa will go into its shell. Then I jump on it again. I guess that was a bad example to just do 2 jumps in a row. But nonetheless, like jump on it again so that it launches the Koopa shell into the subsequent enemies.
Yeah.
And that like it has like the annoying things of like you can only like it's like a pro and a con because I really like that the game is like level based, but at the same time, like if you need to heal, like there are occasionally like little hearts scattered throughout the level, or you might find like a little resting spot. But most of the time you have to like actually go back to like the hub town, talk to Princess Peach and she'll heal you back up. But that's just like kind of time consuming and a little tedious, like, so there's like little annoyances like that. Or at one point I was like running out of cards and you can do this like quick spin or battle spin, whatever it's called, and spend like 10 coins to get extra cards or to get 1 extra card. So it's like, okay, I'm in a battle and I don't have any attack cards. I only have like mushrooms or like a 1-up mushroom that'll refill your paint. Because you even have like sometimes you'll pick up a card that's like totally grayed out and you can like put it in your queue and you can even just use it like that. But then if you like fully paint it in, it like powers it up to do a little more damage or something like that. But again, like some of that can be a little tedious, especially before I went to like the advanced controls that kind of skips a screen where you paint the cards and everything, or you can do it on the same screen. and went to those button controls, like everything was just feeling like a little tedious because you can have up to 99 cards in your hand at a time. And like you can only sort them in one way. So it'll like, it starts you all the way to the right, which is weird, which will be at like your mushrooms and items and stuff. And then all the way to the left will be like your special items that are kind of one-off cards. And then after that, it's like the jump and the hammer and all the, traditional Mario attacks, Paper Mario attacks scattered in between there.
Right.
But if you have like, I literally bought 25 jumps and 25 hammers, it's like, okay, I'm just scrolling through this list every time I want to attack. Thankfully, once you select one card, it like the cursor stays there. Like it doesn't go back to the beginning and you got to keep scrolling through it again. So that helps the cause like a little bit. And it's quick enough. But nonetheless, I feel like I've mostly been like griping about this game, but I'm really just enjoying like the energy, the pacing, the personality.
Back. Yeah.
Just it's really fun. Like it's basically, it feels like everything that I kind of liked about Sticker Star, but it's just doing it like a little bit better. And I think this game came out after Sticker Star, so it feels like they learned a few things and they kind of like they kind of ironed some of those things out. It's not perfect, and I know everybody loves those first two Paper Mario games the most, and I am the same.
Those are the best ones.
But I'm not somebody that like, it doesn't really bother me that there's no leveling up or anything like that. Like it doesn't bother me. You just go to the shop in the hub town, and when you heal up, buy a bunch of new cards, and like it just is like a little bit different of a style RPG. It's like a different type of leveling, or not even leveling system, but you're just getting new like cards, I guess, that are like making you more powerful as the game goes on.
That's the progression of it, is the card stuff, really, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Tina played a lot of this, and I watched it kind of while she was playing it back
over the
shoulder
day. Or whatever.
Yeah. And I think we did change the control scheme, like you were saying too. I'm like, nah, this is, you got to do better than this. But you didn't at least have to hold on to a specific sticker to defeat a certain boss. So
I think they do a little bit of that in this game, because they do. At one point, it's like you only get one time to use this, and if you use it wrong, it's gone for good. And it even gets a little tricky. Like, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost positive that, like, again, right now I can do 2 attacks or 2 cards at a time. And if you, let's say, I like queue up 2 cards, because there's been a couple times where I'm like, I think the hammer is going to kill this enemy, but like just in case, I'll throw another jump on there just to seal the deal. But then I'll kill the enemy with the hammer, but then the jump card is gone too. Like you don't get that back just because you didn't use it. Like you queued it up, it's gone.
Feel good.
Yeah, especially when the resources are limited. Again, it sounds like, oh, I got 99 cards, I got a ton. So you just got to be a little more cognizant of like going back to the hub zone and picking up some more cards. And you also get cards like all throughout the game from killing enemies or hitting, question mark blocks or doing various tasks and challenges. And like, again, you have paint as a resource, but you can just like smash your hammer literally into almost anything in the game. The trees, the grass, the flowers, just played a beach level, the starfish, the shells, and they all just like, drop some paint droplets that are, of the similar color that they are. But again, I just really like that, like all the stages like show you exactly, what you need to do. And like, it's just like a little more streamlined and linear that, at least for me, is going to probably help me see whether I see this game all the way through or not, who knows? But like right now, I feel like I got some momentum going, and 4 or 5 hours in, and I'm like, although I'm looking at the map and it is fucking huge. So I'm like, there's even like a list of all the stages, and I'm like, oh my God, it just never ends. But that's not a bad thing. I'm looking forward to playing more of this one, and I'm so pumped the Wii U is just such a good little system that
very unique.
Obviously, totally flopped in, commercially or financially or whatever. I feel like that was the era when everyone's like, Nintendo's done. They're going to have to start making games. Yep. Mario's going to come out on Xbox. And who knows, maybe someday we'll see that happen.
Before Wii came out too, though, to be fair.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. And now we're seeing the exact opposite. Sonic's on Nintendo, all the Microsoft guys. I just bought Cuphead physical copy on Switch. Like, I mean, everything from Microsoft is coming to Nintendo. So it's kind of funny that it's the kind of the opposite way around.
Yep.
But But yeah, I couldn't be happier about hooking this Wii U back up. I've been really, and about getting all 3 of these games. Star Fox Zero, a little bit of a miss, even though it's still cool to have and check out and just see these games in like this full HD, like seeing Paper Mario in full HD, because I really haven't played much of the Origami King. I think I just booted up and looked at the title screen, actually, to be honest. So this is like my first time seeing the Paper Mario games in HD. And it's really cool to see. That's one of the probably like most enchanting aspects of this game. Playing it now is clean. Like, oh, this just looks nice. And you think of the Wii U as like an older system. I like just don't think of it as like looking so sharp, and it most certainly does.
But their Nintendo games hold up better than most.
Really,
they do. Yeah, we've talked about that many times. Yeah, they just have they do such a great job with like their art direction.
Yes,
and. Yeah, especially with games like this where they really, because this is like the first game too where I feel like they really lean into that like handcrafted style. Obviously the first games do a lot, but like this one like has more of that like Yoshi's Woolly World or Crafted World kind of flavor where it's like, oh, this is like clearly made out of like a paper plate. Or like made out of like a toilet paper roll. I just feel like there wasn't as much of that like, or like that real world like Pikmin almost kind of stuff that like happens in, where it's like, oh, this is like a ramp, but it's really just like a cheese wedge or something. Like I just feel like there's like little stuff like that in this game where I feel like this is the first time where they started like doing that in the Paper Mario series more so, I guess.
That stuff's got a lot of charm. If I remember, Origami King does a lot with that sort of stuff too. Yeah,
I really want to play more of that one. Yeah, or play any of that one for that matter, and more of this one. But at the risk of just rambling on and on about my Wii U and about how happy I'm to have it hooked back up here. Anybody else have anything else they want to chime in on or mention before we wrap things up tonight?
No, we're just the world's most foremost Wii U podcast out here. 100% ownership.
I love it. I love that every week it's just like a totally random assortment of games. That we just like, whatever we've been playing. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. But as always, you can find us on the internet at pursuingpixels.com and pretty much everywhere else. Just look up Pursuing Pixels. And otherwise, until next week, we will catch you then and take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
1, 2, 3. Boom. Oh, I actually heard that one. 1, 2, 3.
Even with Discord's noise canceling suppression efforts.
I know. I didn't hear John's, though. Maybe Randall is just so far out of sync.
There you go.
He's not a musician like us.
That's right.
Shut up. I'm just kidding.
He'd never know.